Nirmalji, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, great. I was just wondering, a guest has joined. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Me?
No, I don't see the name for the guest who has joined. So I was wondering if he or she can introduce himself.
I think, Kanchanji, it's me, Hemu.
Okay, great. Just wanted to make sure who it is. Okay, great.
Yeah, so you cannot see my name there? No, right?
No, it comes up as a guest only.
Okay. So it's Hemu Kafle.
Yes.
Kanchanji, can you see my PowerPoint?
Yes, it looks good and it's full screen. So great. Thank you.
Okay.
Now I see you signed in as Hemu. I can see your name, Hemuji. But then I think your other account is also signed in. So there could be background noise if it's connected from the same place.
Really? I don't think
No,
I.
oh no. Now I see guest. Another guest is Professor Shuang Donghong. Hello, Professor. How are you?
Hello.
You're showing us a beautiful picture.
Yeah.
Yes, Madanji, we can see you. Do you want to test sharing your PowerPoint?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, but your voice is a little bit low, so I don't know if it's just me or yeah, but I can turn up my volume, no problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's low for us as well, Kanchanji. It's very lower voice. Yeah, Professor.
Yes.
What about my voice? Is it okay?
Yes.
Yeah,
Loud
it
and
is.
yeah, loud and clear.
Okay,
Hi, Faisal.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Hi, Kanchan.
Hi, great. Hello, Tirthaji. How are you? You're muted, Tirthaji.
Sorry, sir. Namaskar, Savalai. Thank you.
Namaskar, namaste. Madanji, since you'll be presenting, do you want to test sharing your slide with us one time?
Mute. Madan sir pani mute. Mute sir, mute.
I'm trying, but
Yes, I think you almost had it, Madanji. So when you
just a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's seen, right?
It's coming up.
Okay, then.
Now, if you do, can you also please test putting it on full screen, please? The slideshow mode.
Yeah, it's in.
No, not in slideshow mode.
Now I have already done it. Yeah. Maybe it's coming.
Maybe it's coming. Let's wait a few seconds. No, not working.
Yeah,
so,
I have already done it. but I don't know why.
Yeah. So sometimes what happens is like when you're sharing your screen and you put it on full slideshow mode, it goes and selects some other screen. So
But
what
you,
you can,
without slides in, you are seeing, right? In a full mode.
no, I'm seeing all the slides in one, the not the slideshow mode, not the full screen mode, but the
Yeah.
individual slides.
Okay, now I'm again trying. Can you
Okay.
see?
No, I'm sorry. So
Maybe
it is
I'll
best.
change. Is it coming?
No. So Madanji, do you have a one screen or two screen on your computer right now?
What is screen?
One screen. So when you are
Well, one
pressing
screen means no, I have this my full slides and also this our sessions slide. Yeah, yeah. Sessions
yeah,
screen. Yeah, two screen are here.
two screen, yes. So what you can do is to share in slideshow mode. Um, you can select the top option when you press the tray button. Can I show you briefly? Let me just share my screen.
Okay,
Then,
I stop this.
yeah, but I don't know if you'll be able to see. Okay, so yeah, you can share. You can see the screen, right, Madanji? You can see the screen. So when you press this tray button to share the screen, then the first option will be the screen sharing mode, like the first top left.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so if you do that, you should be able to, when you put it on PowerPoint, you should be able to see it. Can we test it one time? Because if we share the slides from here, there's a lag and it will delay switching the slides.
So you mean that I should already put in PowerPoint mode my slides?
Yes, if you can put it in PowerPoint mode, we just want to test it since we have some time.
Yeah, PowerPoint mode, but yeah, I got it. But maybe because two slides were open, so again I will try.
Okay, yes. So in the meantime, I would like to request everyone who has joined to put your name, organization, and email address. So this is the virtual registration process. If we were doing this in person, then we would be writing down in registration forms. But virtually, please do write your name in the chat box. So I'm sure
Chat
you
box.
can see a chat box.
Okay.
Yes. So this is for all the participants that are joining now. Please do write your name, organization, and your email address so that we can get back to you. So, okay, yes. So now if you put in slideshow mode, Madanji.
Yeah, now I'm putting in slides mode. Is it okay?
No, I still only see the file.
File in without PowerPoint mode, right?
Yes, yes.
Full
So when
screen mode.
you, yeah, so you have to select the first, you have to share your whole screen. So that way it'll be easier. Instead of selecting this file to be shared, you have to select screen 1.
Hello, namaste, सबैजनालाई.
Namaste. Great. I'm glad everybody is joining in, signing in. Welcome, Mr. Ram Gopal Kharbija ji, and also SK Chaudhary ji from SK Chaudhary ji. Can you hear us okay?
Okay, ma'am, I can hear you. Good afternoon.
Okay,
Yes,
great.
we're hearing you.
Okay, great. I'm very happy that you can also join us. We're starting in 4 minutes. In the meantime, please do register by writing your name, institution, and your email address so that we can share with you meeting reports, anything else after communication as well. Yes.
Kanchanji, I'm trying again, okay?
Okay, Madanji, please.
I don't know why. It's PowerPoint, no files available. I don't know why.
The other option, Madanji, is that you can save it as PDF and then share, when you're sharing the file instead of PowerPoint, share the PDF. That will also reduce the lag time in the when it's coming through for the screen for everyone.
Okay.
Yeah. And just a few announcements as we are getting ready for the session to start. Many of you are in touch with the drought group already, and some of you are new. So I just wanted to also please think about if you would like to join the transboundary working group on drought for the Koshi Disaster Knowledge Hub. Then in the end, do let us know, drop a note that you would like to join, and then we make sure that we include you in future emails, in future meetings, and things like that. We'll be now starting in 2 minutes. Great. So we'll be starting in just now. Again, welcome everyone for the drought session on as a part of the Koshi Disaster Knowledge Hub. We would like to request you to keep your microphones off unless you're speaking, but please do feel free to use use the chat box to interact with the participants as much as possible. And then we'll be starting shortly. And again, requesting all participants to register for this session. I know many of you are attending other sessions as well, but for this session, just to keep communication on with you. I also see a few people that I don't know yet. So Sunil G, Sunil Kumar Pariyar Ji, please do put your introduction in the chat box. And anybody else that is kind of new to this group. And also just put your email address so that we make sure that we continue to communicate with you. I have put the agenda now. I'll briefly turn on the video for people that might not know me or have not seen me. So good afternoon, namaste to everyone. I'm Kanchan Shrestha. I'm the Koshi Basin Initiative Program Coordinator at ICIMOD, and I am one of the hosts for this session along with Saurav and Vishnuji. And we also have rapporteurs for this session, that is Saurav and Nirmal. So the introduction will be coming in shortly. But Saurav, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, and then I'll also introduce Vishnuji, and then he can start it off.
Hello, just there is a light off now. Just
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Saurav Parnanga. I work as a climate and water climate. Sorry. Hello.
Yes, go ahead, Saurav.
Oh, sorry. So I work as a water climate analyst here at this session on drought here. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Saurav. So now I would like to start the session, and then I hand it over to Vishnuji. Dr. Vishnu Pandey is a professor of civil engineering with the Institute of Engineering at Tribhuvan University. And I think we can all congratulate him because he just started this new position from today. Previously, he was associated with International Water Management Institute as a researcher. He is one of the active and perhaps one of the founding members of the drought group for the Koshi Disaster Knowledge Hub. So I welcome you, Dr. Vishnu Pandey, and congratulations from all of us. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Kanchanji and team. I'm trying to present my slide. Is it visible now?
It is visible, but it is not on full screen.
Is it okay now?
No, Vishnuji. I think it was there for a few. Yes.
Let me stop and do it again, okay? Just a minute.
Sure. Tirthaji, you were saying something about electricity for Madanji or something like that?
yes, Kanchanji. There is no light, just off. Madan Sigdal area, there is no light.
Okay. So we will perhaps move his presentation towards the end, Tirthaji, if you are in communication with him. So perhaps we can save his presentation towards the end, just in case if he's able to join. But is it a joint presentation with you, Tirthaji? Vishnuji, it's working great now.
Okay, great, thank you.
I'll join here, no problem, but I will inform to him. If the light is coming, then you also join, no problem.
Okay, otherwise you will present?
Okay, but I will give the opportunity to him because he is the main leading person then.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you. So please mute I'll mute you now. but I hand it over to Vishnuji. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Kanchanji, and the entire team for working very hard behind the curtain for making this session today. A lot of effort have been put by Kanchanji, Saurabhji, and the team. And welcome to all of you in this session. And as indicated in the program that was circulated some time back, the session will focus on drought. It's one of the transboundary working group under the Koshi Disaster Risk Reduction Knowledge Hub. This session, some of session rules, I think it was communicated already too. Please keep mute your microphone, raise your hand if you have any questions, and please make the best use of chat box for interaction, discussion, questions as far as possible. These are some of the session rules for everyone's attention. This session, when we introduce this session for this 2020 program, we can go back to September 2019 meeting. It was a national consultation meeting held in Kathmandu, where we reviewed various projects initiative related to drought in the Koshi Basin. We also discussed various research and other gaps for addressing the drought, and also discuss or brainstorm some of the potential ways that can be implemented for addressing drought in this particular study area. I mean the Koshi Basin, not only as Nepal part, but as a transboundary basin. Some of the areas of the intervention that may help to address the droughts discussed at that meeting was like data evidence generation, water resource assessment and management, water demand management, real-time monitoring of the drought. I think we have one of the presentation today about drought outlook, where maybe some aspects of this would be highlighted, I believe. Awareness raising and addressing JC and socioeconomic dimension of the drought. There were a discussion in length, but I am trying to show some few points only. And one of the outcome of that meeting was an 11-member working group was formed. We can see the photographs of some of the members here and also the organization involved. And we also included the invited members from China and India who were unfortunately not the part of that particular meeting. And this is how we formed the Drought Transboundary Working Group. And other important discussion that was held and decision made was what could be the objective functioning of the drought working group. Some scope objectives for this group were defined as threefold. One is knowledge generation in terms of status of drought, local and regional basins, gaps in knowledge and policy, and so on. Second objective was sensitization through workshop, apps, publications for highlighting the issue, framing the policy and program. And the third scope or the objective for this particular working group was defined as resource mobilization by channelizing resources where possible to help address drought impacts in the basin. Here we mean the pooling the resources from different partner organizations and beyond, so that we can pool little resources together to do a larger impact. We conceptualize this type of network as a loose and informal network, and we also envision a virtual meeting at least once a year or more as needed. We had a meeting in a small groups a couple of times, but this large scale meeting is, I think, this one we are having today. And we also envision like one publication a year as the potential outputs. We tried for that. We took some initiative for developing a joint publication with others from 3 Republican countries, but it's yet to get materialized. With this background, today's session in drought, it will be roughly 2.5 hours. We'll focus on what is the progress on understanding the drought, what are the challenges, and how we should move ahead in terms of action plans for the next year. So it is divided in the 2 sessions. One would consist of a presentation from drought thematic working group members. There are 4 presentations, one focusing on drought monitoring, then meteorological droughts, and third one is crop water shortage index as an indicator for drought, and seasonal outlook product for regional drought monitoring. They are all interesting presentations which we will be hearing shortly. Then it will be followed by a discussion and then a panel discussion session of an hour long with the 4 very distinguished panelists. Then finally, we will conclude the session. With this brief introduction of the session, I would like to now hand over this to the Dr. Hemu Kafle to moderate the first session related to presentation. Dr. Hemu, now the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, if you allow me, Dr. Hemu, can I give you your brief introduction?
Please go ahead. Yeah, sure.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you, Vishnuji, for really summing that up. Also, like how we've come far. Dr. Hemu Kafle is the founder and director of research at Kathmandu Institute of Applied Science. She's a scientist at the Center of Water and Atmospheric Research within it. She holds a master's and a PhD, particularly on topography considered two-source energy balance model. She's also facilitated by the World Academy of Sciences as a young scientist, and she's currently working on a regional scale assessing the monitoring impact of extreme climatic conditions like drought in South Asia. And I would also like to say that she's a mother of two and is the president of the Organization of Women Scientists in the Developing World, Nepal chapter, and working to inspire a stronger female future for the Nepalese science while empowering the next generation of women scientists. So I really wanted to say that part because, as you can see, we have very few female members in the Drought group, and we hope that we can also reach out to them in the future. But thank you, Dr. Hemu Kafle, over to you.
Thank you, Kanchanji, for such a nice introduction. Thank you so much. And I would also like to thank Vishnuji and also the Kanchanji for inviting me to moderate this session. And as I can see from the Vishnuji's slide, that Kayes was already there in this Koshi Disaster Knowledge Hub. And my student was there, Nishchal was there. So I'm now I will be like to be more actively participate in this group. And as you all know that this session is very important, and I think Vishnuji has briefly highlighted what we are talking about and what this session is all about. So I will briefly go to the session in details, again, the presentations. Firstly, we will be starting this session from 4 presentations, all very important presentations from this important presenter. I can see here from Nepal, India, China, so covering the Koshi Basin. And talking briefly about drought. So since drought is not talked not talked as a quite the problematic disaster in Nepal, as sorry, my voice, as it is talked about flood, earthquake, and landslides. But I want to say, and from this session, we will again going to know about the importance of drought and how important it is to be managed and mitigate properly. Okay, so without delaying, I will like to start the session. I think the first session, Madan sir will not be here. So
I'm here.
Okay. Okay, so as you are already here, so I would like to first introduce our first presenter, Dr. Madan Sigdel. He is an associate professor at Central Department of Hydrology and Meteorology, Tribhuvan University. And he is also a Mon Buso scholar from Japanese government and completed his PhD in climatology from Hokkaido University, Japan. And he also holds a degree in monsoon dynamics, drought and desertification. He's working in climate modeling and atmospheric environment. He was PhD postdoctoral fellow at Chinese Academy of Sciences, Beijing. And he's also a visiting faculty at Central Department of Environmental Science and Institute of Engineering, Fuzhou. Now over to you, Madan sir.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm trying my presentation, but due to electricity, I could not attend last few minutes ago. So I will try with my...
Sorry, Madan sir, quickly, I forgot to tell you that the presentation will be of 10 minutes. And in 8 minutes, I will be showing off, putting on my video to let you know that it's already 8 minutes, so
Okay.
that you can and you will wrap up your slides. And if you have any questions, please put it in the chat box, and we will have the discussion session at the end of all the 4 presentations. Or you can raise your hands if you like to ask question by yourself. Okay, so Madan sir, you
Thank
can
you.
proceed.
Okay, thank you, Hemuji. Is my slide is seen or not?
Yeah, we can see your slide, but I think you need to put it in a presentation mode.
No, it's PDF because
Yeah.
now the topic of my presentation is drought monitoring over the Koshi Basin, Nepal. So this is the drought group. Many of all of us are known about the drought, so I will not explain detail. So we know drought is a complex phenomena. Where it has several forms of drought and in varying time scale, and it changes with the local climate. So and some previous studies in Nepal were carried out. Among them, Sigdel Ikeda 2010, they focus on all Nepal drought. Dahal et al. Focused on the central Nepal. Similarly, Kafle 2015 focused on the western Nepal, and Khatiwada and Pandey 2019 focused on the Karnali Basin. So the drought study along the Koshi River Basin is a new one, and the research has not been documented. So we need to study the details about it. So this is the study area, and the dot shows the meteorological stations. Here we have included 10 meteorological stations inside the Koshi Basin. So this the data includes monthly precipitation data, as well as maximum temperature and minimum temperature data provided by the Department of Hydrology and Meteorology, Government of Nepal. It starts from 1987 to 2017. Here we use the monthly data of the climate variables. So basically, in this study, we have applied the two methods to identify the drought. One is the SPI, Standardized Precipitation Index, and another one is the SPEI, Standardized Precipitation Evapotranspiration Index. And we have compared among these two indices along the Koshi River Basin. So here, basically, we we have focused on the drought duration and drought frequency, as well as drought severity and drought intensity. So to characterize the drought along the basin, we basically focus on these parameters: duration, frequency, severity, and intensity. So this table shows the station-wise 31 years drought duration, drought severity, drought intensity, and drought frequency. So this is for the Standardized Precipitation Index, SPEI 3. So similarly, we have done it for the SPI 12 also. From Station 10 to Taplejung, we have identified the duration, frequency, and these parameters. Now I'm showing in this box plot. So here in our study, we have applied the 3 time scale, but we are basically focusing on the 2 time scale. We have applied 3 months time scale, 6 month time scale, and 12 month time scale for both SPI and SPEI. But basically, I'm focusing on the 3 months and 12 months time scale. So the first one is the drought duration. The second one is the drought severity. The third one is the drought peak. Fourth one is the drought intensity. And the fifth one is the drought frequency. So So this is for the whole Kosi River Basin along the 31 years. So this figure indicates that almost for SPEI is dominated by SPI in the case of like 12-month time scale in the drought duration, while in other other like for frequency as well as for the severity also, uh, uh, the extremeness is observed over the eastern rise precipitation index rather than SPEI. So this figure shows the eastern rise precipitation drought events, total drought, how many events were happened in the Kosi Basin for the SPI 12 months time scale. This was for the 12 months time scale. Uh, 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 because as we know that below -1, that will be the below -1 to -1.5, then that is the moderate, and -1.5 to -2, that would be severe, and then another is extreme one. So according to the episode, we have identified the events along the Kosi Basin, and this one is for the SPI 12, that is 12 months time scale. And we have identified the higher events along the eastern, southern eastern side of the Kosi Basin. Similarly, this one is for the eastern rise precipitation index for 12 months time scale, and this this also shows the drought events along the Koshi Basin for the 31 years time period. And we have identified the drought episodes in the different stations, and it shows it also concentrates basically on the central and somewhat eastern part of the Kosi Basin, and basically the highest number is around 15 times. That is 15 events happened around for the 12 months time scale. This one, and this is the time series for the Kosi Basin. This is the 3 months time scale. 3 months time scale for both Eastern Rise Precipitation Index SPI3 and SPEI3. That not for the individual stations, but it is for whole for the whole basin. And we have identified some extreme years like 1992, like 1999, and similarly after 2000, many drought episodes has been identified, like 2005, 6, like 2013 and 15, 16. This in 3 months time scale. And in next slide, this is for the 12 months time scale. 12 months time scale for both SPI 12 and SPI 12. For its 3 months time scale, basically concerned from agricultural perspective, while for the 12 months time scale, we concern for the hydrological perspective.
It's already 8 minutes. Okay,
okay.
carry on. Just to let you know.
So this 12 months time scale also follows the path of SPI3, while the frequency of precipitation is lower, and longer duration of drought has been identified, and those years were similar to the SPI3. So I will go to the summary, and this both SPI and SPI recognize the major drought evolution in the Kosi Basin, and the more frequent drought has been observed in the Kosi Basin after 2000. Similarly, SPI indicate more extreme characteristics than the SPEI. The SPI identified the longer wet and dry spell condition than SPI. And along the 30 years study period, at least 11 episodes of drought observed in the Kosi Basin for whole 3 months, 6 months, and 12 months time scale. And another thing is the transboundary collaboration for drought study. This can be a good initiation for better understanding the drought risks and its impact on ecosystem. So we are also, because this is our paper, so we are still working on this paper, and our future plan is we'll compare the indices with river discharge and some satellite products, and then finally we'll submit this paper. So thank you all for their attention.
Thank you, Madan sir. It was quite on time. Thank you so much for maintaining the time and very much interesting presentation. This is a very good presentation, as you have seen that he has used two drought indices, SPI and SPEI. I think SPI is the most used indices because of the data availability of precipitation data that we can get. And also he shows that in Nepal, the drought there were many extreme events, and mostly the 1992 and the 1999. And another important part was he already showed that the drought has increased, many events increased after 2000. That means the impact of climate change can be seen in drought episodes in Nepal as well, especially in the Koshi Basin. You can see the extreme severe drought events was on the southeastern part by SPI and SPEI. It was covering almost the middle part of the Koshi Basin. So it is quite important results. Thank you, Madan sir, once again. Now you can type your questions always in the chat box. So and I think Madan sir will also check the chat box so that he can also answer the questions, and we can take it at the end of this session as well. And now our second presenter is from India, Dr. Pradhan P. Sarathi, professor, and he will be presenting in meteorological.
Can I go to reply the question, emoji?
So, sir, we will be replying the questions at the end of the session.
Okay.
Okay. Finish this for presentation.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry. Okay, so now we will move on to our second presentation, and I would like to introduce our presenter, Professor Sarah.
Thank you. Are you getting my voice?
Yeah, so Professor Sarah, so you can proceed.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Hemu. Now I'm trying to share my presentation.
We haven't seen yet. Yeah, please share.
No issue.
Your slides are not visible. Okay, now it is. So you can go to the mode. Yeah, it's good.
It is visible to all of you. Hello?
Yeah, now, yeah.
Yeah, we are listening.
Okay. So thank you, ICIMOD, for giving me an opportunity to participate in this meeting related to the drought. So my presentation is focused on the meteorological drought over the foothills of the Himalaya in India. In this work, what we have conducted this study, we have taken the 0.25 into 0.25 graded data of India Meteorological Department, almost 25 into 25 kilometer data. And we have taken the area which is near to the Nepal area, that is the foothills of the Himalaya, considering the UP, Bihar. We have also considered this West Bengal, but this is for the publication in this work has already been published in the International Journal of Pure and Applied Geophysics 2019. But here I will focus only over the Eastern UP, Western UP, as well as over the Bihar, because these areas are very adjacent to the Nepal area, and by any means that is affected by the Kosi River Basin. So what we have done, we have categorized the Bihar zone in four agroclimatic zones, zone 1, 2, 3, 4. Similarly, the Eastern UP agroclimatic zone 7, 8, 9, 10. So what we have conducted, we have carried out the time series analysis of the rainfall, and in two sections, two time slices, one from the 1960 to 1990, and another time slices is from 1990 onwards. Because we found that in many literature and in many places, the rainfall during the summer monsoon season, June, July, August, September, that is decreasing after 1990 onwards, especially in the month of July and August, because July and August is known as the representative month for the rainy summer monsoon seasons. So first slide, left hand panel is for BRZ1, means agroclimatic zone 1 of Bihar. This is for the agroclimatic zone 2 of Bihar, and similarly for 3. We have conducted the Mancandle test, and we found that there is a very significant decreasing trend after 1990 onwards. We found that. In next slide, we have also carried out for the 6 to 7, 5 agroclimatic zones of the UP, and you can see that except 1 or 2, most of the time, and at few of the agroclimatic zones of the UP, the rainfall is continuously decreasing from 1990 onwards. As you are aware that there is already well-established definition of the meteorological droughts. If there is a scarcity of rainfall, or if the rainfall, seasonal rainfall is going below the normal values for large number of days, then there will be the possibility of the drought. So obviously this analysis will give us some motivation to carry out the meteorological drought study over these regions. So what we have done, we have computed the seasonality index of the summer monsoon rainfall. Seasonality index tells us how much rainfall is distributed in 4 months. If the larger value of SI index says that the rainfall is occurring within 1 or 2 months, while lower values of the SI index suggest that the whole rainfall is during June, July, August, September, the rainfall is equally spreaded in 4 months. So we have computed this seasonality index, and we found that the seasonality index of the UP, if you see the x-axis, this x-axis is showing the zones of the agroclimatic zones of UP as well as Bihar. Sorry, I am not considering West Bengal here. So see that SI is varies from 0 to 1.3, and sometimes in UP areas, the agroclimatic zones of the UP, the seasonality index is going beyond 1.2. So these agroclimatic zones, which is lying over the foothills of the Himalaya near to the Nepal, that will be maybe the most prone area of the meteorological droughts. If you come to the Bihar regions, see that the BRZ3B, this region is getting the high seasonality index, means that this region may be under the influence of the meteorological drought. But this region is not adjacent to the Nepal area, because this region is south of the Bihar, south of the Ganga regions. These two regions, BRZ1 and BRZ2, this is near to the Nepal area, especially this BRZ1, so near to the Koshi area. So obviously when the seasonality index is going beyond 1, this area is more under the influence of the meteorological droughts. There may be the possibility. So what we have again done, as the just previous speaker have already given stress on the drought index, so we have also computed the drought index, and there is several by the researcher across the world, but here we have used the SPI's precipitation index suggested by WMO. So SPI value is determined by the probability of given incremental rainfall anomaly occurring, because here we actually use the gamma distribution function on the time series to compute the SPI index. So for computing the SPI index, we have used this formula, gamma distribution formula. So how SPI index, the standardized precipitation index is given in this table. Obviously the positive values is for the wet area, showing the wet meteorological years, and when there is a negative values, means that this meteorological this June, July, August, September months may be more drier. So this is the temporal variation of SPI over the agroclimatic zones. Here, the first 4 figures is for the UP. Sorry. If you see that 1990 on. Okay.
Professor, we cannot see your slide.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I have to complete within couple of minutes. So this is the daily rainfall gridded data at the IMD over the different intense drought years, as well as the moderate drought year and mild drought years. What we found that this is a very important findings we got. Mild drought is persisting over most of the times. If your total events is 28, the most of the times the mild drought is persisting over all the agroclimatic zones. Similarly, if you see in the terms of the probability or percentage, the mild drought is going beyond the 64%. This is all.
Sorry, we cannot see your slide showing the mild droughts because the slide is not moving. Can you please move your slide forward?
Is it moving right now?
I can see only the drought index slide here right now, the SPI and other indices. Can you move to other?
Yeah, only drought index slide.
Yeah, we cannot see your.
Is it okay?
Not yet.
Maybe try unsharing and sharing again.
Okay. Now you can share.
No. Go. Maybe you unshare first and then share it again.
Okay.
Yes, the online session saves a lot of carbon footprint, but there's also a lot of technical glitches. So thank you for your patience.
This is already shared.
Yeah, please try to move it again now. Now maybe it will happen.
So are you not getting the visualizing the slide?
Not yet.
Okay. I have already forwarded my slides to Saurabh. If anyone can share those slides, then I will explain. There is only 2 to 3 slides are there.
Okay, Saurabh, do you want to share? Yes.
Yeah, I can share this presentation here.
Are you able to visualize the slides?
Can all of you see the screen?
That is fine.
Yeah, we are still on the same slide.
Hello.
Oh, now we can see the slides. Okay, now you can.
Okay, no issue. If you are able to visualize these slides, then I will try to finish within a couple of minutes. Only 2 to 3 slides are there. So this is the spatial distribution of the intense drought years. We have selected the intense drought year, moderate and mild drought years. Accordingly, we have categorized that one. And these figures are plotted on the GIS, ArcGIS. So this is the intense drought years over the agroclimatic zones of eastern UP, Bihar, as well over the West Bengal. So the periods we have taken the 1961 to 2013. So again, this is for the moderate or mild drought years over the eastern Gangetic Plain. So this is the number of occurrence of drought. If you see that the total number of drought years, most of the times mild drought is dominating over the total number of drought years in compared to the extreme severe and moderate droughts. Similarly, if you see the probability of occurrence of meteorological droughts, the mild drought is dominating over the extreme severe and moderate droughts over the agroclimatic zones of UP and Bihar. In the last several years, last 10 years, I am personally observing that these area is not getting sufficient amount of rainfall, and that's why the mild drought is continuously persisting. So these findings I have already communicated to the government of Bihar, because I am the member of Bihar State Action Plan of the climate change. So what is the justification? What is the cause of this one? Because very important for monitoring the drought. So we have found that there is the two important factors. One in the monsoon trough. Normally the monsoon trough is marching from to July to August. When the monsoon trough is approaching to the foothills of Himalaya, it is the North Bihar region and the region of the Koshi is getting the very good amount of the rainfall. If this monsoon trough is not approaching towards the foothills of the Himalaya and remaining to the south of the Ganga, the Koshi River Basin is not getting sufficient amount of rainfall, and that may be the probability of meteorological drought over those areas, as well as the easterly wind at 850 millibar wind, which brings moisture from the Bay of Bengal. That is very important parameters for justifying the meteorological droughts over the Koshi River Basin. So this low level westerly wind in July and August over the study area in climatology, we see that sometimes this easterly wind is completely disappearing during the drought years. So the northward shifting or disappearance of the low level easterly jet at 850 hectopascal in the month of July and weakening of it in the month of August may be responsible for less moisture incursion over Bihar from the Bay of Bengal, keeping the atmosphere dry, reducing the rainfall and consequently the meteorological drought occurrence. So what is the factors? Factors on watch for meteorological drought over the foothills of the Himalaya is the movement of monsoon trough and the strength of the low-level easterly wind. Because I am the meteorologist and and atmospheric scientist, so India Meteorological Department is giving the one week forecast, 1 week advance forecast. So if we keep the watch on the movement of the monsoon trough and the strength of the low-level easterly wind, then we will able to monitor the meteorological drought, especially over the discussed area or over the Koshi River Basin. In addition to that, we have recently conducted the Koshi River Basin. We have found the 9 to 10 grid points, and we have analyzed the several episodes of rainfall, as well as we are also analyzing the climate model outputs, because our strength is the climate model output analysis. So this is all about my presentations. Thank you to all of you for giving me opportunity to participate in this program. Thank you. If you have any question, you can ask me.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you so much for the nice presentation. And from this presentation, we can see that how important is the collaborative part in this Koshi Basin. Since Professor Bharat showed that the decrease in rainfall trend was exactly increasing after 1990. And as we can see with the Professor Sigdel's presentation, the drought in Nepal was increasing after 2000. So the linkage between the decrease in rainfall events and the meteorological drought in Nepal and India, both sides, is in the similar time period. And also in our study, we have seen that the movement of monsoon trough, just explained by Professor Sarthi, that they have also noticed the movement of monsoon trough. We also noticed in Nepal study that the delay in monsoon either or the movement of monsoon from eastern side of Nepal to western side of Nepal was the main causes of drought in Nepal. So this is quite interesting. We are having the quite interesting presentation, and we are kind of knowing the importance of collaborative approach within the countries and within the regions. So thank you so much, Professor Sasarthi, for giving this presentation. So now, if you have any questions, as he already told that you can write it in the chat box, and we will take all the questions at the end of all the 4 presentations. Now we have left 2 presentations. Now, without delaying, I would like to move to another presentation, very important presentation from China, and Mr. Nirmal Mani Dahal will be presenting. And the title of his presentation will be Study and Spatial Temporal Variation of Drought Based on Crop Water Shortage Index, CWSI in Koshi River Basin. I would like to introduce Mr. Nirmal Mani Dahal. Let me introduce him first. Mr. Dahal hails from Kirtipur, Kathmandu, Nepal. He is currently doing his PhD in Institute of Mountain Hazard and Environment, Chinese Academy of Science. His PhD research is focused on drought impact on agriculture production in Koshi River Basin, Nepal. Okay, Mr. Dahal, so up to you. You can start your presentation.
Thank you, Emoji. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, ICIMOD, for providing us this opportunity to share our work in the Koshi River Basin. I'm trying to share my presentation. It's uploading. It's opening. Maybe a few seconds. Okay. Can you see the presentation? It's not opening. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, we can see your slides.
But I'm not seeing my slides. What happened?
Really?
Yes,
But I'm not.
I can also see it.
Me myself is not able to see the slides.
Yeah, I can also see it.
Yeah, we can see.
But my slide in my screen is not can't display. There was a problem with displaying the content. I don't know what. Let me try again. Let's go. Yeah. Can everybody see the slides?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. Okay. Maybe I can start now. Okay. Thank you, Emoji and entire ICIMOD team for this opportunity. Yeah, she already introduced myself. My name is Nirmal Mani Dahal, and I am currently PhD student at IMH KAS in Chengdu, China. The study, my topic is on the spatial temporal variation of drought-based on crop water shortage index CWSI in Koshi River Basin. This is one of the paper that has been published last year in the MDPI journal. So I will just go. The outline is the background, objective, methodology, result discussion, conclusion, and further research. Already we have lots of two presentations, and that shows lots of information about drought. So I'm not going to go in detail. So especially what is drought is less than 50% less than usual rainfall over 3 months is drought. And you can see that some data in the end of the slides about the drought event in Nepal and how it affected the crop yield in the whole Nepal. So the research background, we can see how the future climate change, how the temperature will be, the rainfall change will be occurring in the future. I have shown these slides in these slides. Similarly, the South Asian monsoon is, of course, is the June to September. The South Asian monsoon, it covers about more than 80% of total annual rainfall. And our agriculture system is mainly focused on the rainfall agriculture. We have very few irrigation system. So the sprinkler and the pond, these are the very basic needs for us to serve the water. In this study, we use two methods. We use the meteorological data, which can be a good accuracy, and it has some weakness also. The distribution and density insufficient for the past spatial information detection. And we use CWSI index for calculating drought based on MODIS Section A2 products to monitor agricultural drought in Koshi River Basin. Basically, our objective was to examine the spatial temporal characteristics of drought and to explore the influential factors on spatial temporal distribution in the Koshi River Basin. So here are some pictures that has been captured in Koshi River Basin, how the rainfall, uneven rainfall distribution is occurring in the Koshi River Basin. The study area, we know everybody, we are very familiar with Koshi River Basin. So the study area and the most part lies in Nepal, and then in China and India, the climate and the geomorphology and the major river tributaries. So these are some features of Koshi River Basin. The methodology, we use CWSI based on modis evaporation products, and it is based on the actual evapotranspiration and potential evapotranspiration. And the greater the value of CWSI, the more severe the drought. So, and in this study, we found mean CWSI is 0.73. That's water stress is significant, and the drought is very significant in Koshi River Basin. This shows how the CWSI map of Koshi River. We can see the upstream in the China part and the midstream in the Nepal part, and the downstream, the Nepal's lowland part and the India part. We can see the drought condition. The upstream, we have higher CWSI. The midstream, we have abundant rainfall and lower CWSI, and the downstream, relatively higher CWSI. This is the spatial temporal pattern of drought from 2000 to 2014, which shows extreme drought, severe drought, moderate drought, and slight drought. We can see the downstream is highly severely affected by the drought, with CWSI 0.76 in average. The upstream is 0.65, and the midstream, basically the mid hills of Nepal, is 0.57. So basically the CWSI shows the drought intensity is higher in downstream, then the upstream, and then the midstream. Likewise, the spatial pattern of precipitation. So we can also see as the precipitation, it increases from the lower river valleys to the mountains and then decreases in the regions of higher elevation. We can see the precipitation spatial pattern of annual precipitation of Koshi River Basin. Then we can see from here the CWSI and the vegetation cover in the different river basin of Koshi. You can see in the upstream we have the CWSI range from 0.62 to 0.66, and then in midstream we have the average of 0.59, and in the downstream we have the average of 0.67. Likewise, you can see with the time, with the month, how the CWSI varies with the month in a year in the upstream, midstream, and downstream. We can see in the upstream, it is divided into 4 stages: gradually increasing trend from February to May, decreasing trend in May to August, and significantly increasing trend August to November, and a gradually decreasing trend again in November to February in the next year. And likewise in the midstream, it is characterized by keeping stable on a higher level December to April, and to on lower level July to September, the CWSI values. Likewise in the downstream, exhibited a different distribution pattern of CWSI. From April to September, the CWSI exhibited remarkably decreasing trend and a significantly growing trend. So these are the temporal and spatial variation in drought according to time and the CWSI in Koshi River Basin. Again, this one is also in the different seasons, pre-monsoon, monsoon, winter, and post-monsoon season, how the CWSI varies in the upstream, midstream, and downstream. We can see the mean value, lowest CWSI occurs in monsoon period, because monsoon period would obviously have more rainfall. For the pre-monsoon, the CWSI of downstream was significantly higher than that of midstream and that of upstream, and indicating that severe drought occurs in the downstream. And we can see the different periods, the rank of CWSI order also different. Winter, we can have midstream the higher. In the pre-monsoon season, we have downstream higher, and in the post-monsoon, we have the upstream higher. So these slides, and the next slide is the precipitation in the how the precipitation changes according to the month in the upstream, midstream, and downstream, and the variation of monthly precipitation results in change in drought variation. And we can see the monsoon season precipitation is critical for agriculture and water resources in Nepal, as about 80% of total annual rainfall occurs during this period. So the next one is, you can see the drought CWSI value. We can see increasing trend from 2000 to 2009, which indicates indicating severe drought, and the CWSI has lower values in 2010, 11, and 13, reflecting lower drought degree. And from the data of 15 years during 2000 and 2015, we can conclude that the frequency of the drought is relatively high, indicating that the Koshi River Basin is facing severe drought status. And we can see this monsoon onset and retreat dates from 1968 and it has been extrapolated to 2020, and we can see large variability from year to year, which is around 10% of the long-term mean, resulting in year-to-year difference in drought degree. So we can see the monsoon onset and retreat dates in the Koshi River Basin. And finally, the concluding remarks is that the CWSI represents an obvious spatio-temporal pattern. CWSI is higher in downstream and upstream than that of midstream in Koshi River Basin. In temporal variation, higher CWSI were found between March to May and October to December, not between June to September. And the highest CWSI was observed in April, suggesting that uneven precipitation distribution during the year and the inconsistent trend between the precipitation and heat is a determined factor resulting in drought. At the annual scale, the CWSI exhibited a significant variation, but no significant variation trend was detected during 2000 and 2014. So this study preliminarily reveals the spatio-temporal pattern of drought, which helps to provide implications for developing adaptive strategies for food security and farmers' livelihood in Koshi Basin. For the future research, we have, based on this investigation, we are ready to carry out the following research work: comparative study on CWSI and other research results, examine the relationship between north-south variation and drought degree in small catchment scale, examine the linkage between drought, agricultural production, and livelihood. So these are some future research we need to conduct in Koshi River Basin. And this paper we have published last year in International Journal of Environmental Research and Public Health. It's the publication from MDPI with the research team from Institute of Mount Hazard and Environment. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Dahal. A very nice presentation and in accurate time. And here you saw that this drought was, you use CWSI index using satellite datasets, that is freely available MODIS datasets. So this is another option for studying drought in the area where we cannot have local field-based meteorological stations datasets. So this is a very good approach, and this MODIS data is also freely available. So very, very nice presentation. Showing the opportunities that we can study drought without the field datasets as well, though we have to have some validation points indeed. So in this presentation, it was quite interesting to see that the drought occurrence was quite different in the upstream, midstream, and the low stream. The month was varying, just like you saw that in the midstream, the extreme drought, the severe drought was in February to May, right? So, and in the lower part, it was in the different months, like in the, in the upstream, it was February to May, and in the mid, it was December to April. So it is quite interesting. Maybe we will discuss about it in the last question answer session. I'm also very curious about it. And also we have also done in Kathmandu Institute of Applied Science, we have used DSI index, that is Drought Severity Index, using the same data sets, the MODIS data sets, ETPET, and then NDVI. And we have also have the similar results that the severe drought was on March, April, and May. So it was quite similar to your results from February to May you got. So it will be quite interesting to discuss further, maybe later on as well. So please, if you have question for Mr. Mani Dahal, please type it in the chat box. And I can see there are many questions as well there. We will be discussing later on. So now, thank you again, Mr. Maniji. Now I would like to move on to another presentation, our last final presentation of this session. So it will be on seasonal outlook product of the regional drought monitoring and outlook system by Dr. Faysal M. Kamar. So Dr. Faysal will be presenting, and I would quickly like to introduce Faysal. So Dr. Faysal Kamar works as sorry, my pronunciation could be different. Sorry, Faysal. Pronouncing
it's perfect. It's really good. Yeah.
Okay, so he works as remote sensing specialist at ICIMOD, and he leads the food security and climate services related work within the geospatial solution team. He has 18 years of experience in geospatial science and its application to agriculture ecosystem, water resources, and climate change. I have met him in 2014, and we discussed about the drought at that time. So I still remember meeting with Faysal and discussing about drought. So it will be quite interesting to listen to your presentation. So Faysal, the floor is yours. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kafal, for managing this session in a very excellent way. And thanks to Saurav and Kanchan for putting all the effort in organizing this session. So we had very interesting presentations from our colleagues like Maniji and can you see my slides?
Yes, we can see.
Okay, then we had very interesting presentations from Maniji, Dr. Pradhan, Professor Madan on understanding the drought dynamics. So this is very important to understand the historical conditions and devise strategies in managing or mitigating droughts. So in our work, we try to do a bit of effort on understanding the drought in agriculture context for entire South Asia, including Koshi Basin. And then we also try to put all those things in a robust system so that we can develop an operational system to look at the current conditions as well as some of the seasonal forecasts. So like just as a background, as Dr. Kafal mentioned, that I belong to geospatial group. So in geospatial science group, we are working in one of the thematic area of survey rescue program is agriculture and food security. Here, what we try to do, we try to capitalize advances on remote sensing, GIS, and ICT in terms of science, and then we engage with stakeholders. That includes our co-developer like CIMOD, global institutions, Ministry of Agriculture, USAID experts, as well as end users like World Food Program, Irrigation Department, and potentially farm organization. So we try to work, jointly develop services or try to jointly design the potential solutions. In agriculture, those solutions are in form of assessment or advisories, like assessments is food security assessment, which we are doing jointly with World Food Program, Rainlands monitoring, and one of the service which we are making effort is drought outlook system. So our products are regional at South Asia level, but special emphasis is being given in Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, and Pakistan, since there are some visible capacity gaps or potential opportunities to make use of Earth observation data for agriculture sector. So we have been talking about the past drought events. I just took an example of 6 months SPI, which is closely related to agriculture drought. 3 months and 6 months SPIs are considered as related to agriculture droughts. Again, I'm repeating other speakers' point of view that if we look back from 70 to now, we have more frequent and severe droughts from 2000 onward. That's one thing which is like widely known. The other thing which I must emphasize that our this drought work is primarily focusing on agriculture sector. So there are like wider implications on society for because of drought, including health, economy, and other drinking water availability or so on. But here we are especially emphasizing on one sector, that is agriculture. To understand the impact or vulnerability of drought-related crops, what we did, we tried to look at major cereal crops, and then we only picked those critical times related to those crops. Like for example, we picked 3 months SPI, June, July, August for paddy. Mid-hill is the dominating crop land for maize, and we picked February, March, April. In hills, this is critical time for maize, but in Thrai, the calendar is different. Then again, wheat, November, December, January, and barley, October, November, December, which is a high hill crop. So what we noticed, we tried to repeating this drought frequency, not just the annual drought or 6 monthly drought, but drought specific to that particular crop. And one thing which is very visible in context of Koshi Basin, that like mid hills area in Koshi Basin is a major area for maize, and it has the highest drought frequency during last 30 years. So that gives us an alarm. And again, we also calculated some of the indices on area under drought. There is one thing is drought event, other thing is like area under drought. In wheat, we are also seeing some increase in area under drought along the event. So those are the context which gives you understanding on the historical patterns, and you can look into some sort of mitigation strategies. But it is also very important to monitor this hazard timely and try to mitigate its effect. In Nepal, we started drought monitoring in collaboration with Ministry of Agriculture and World Food Program somewhere 13-14, and this is one of the example when we had severe winter droughts in western Nepal, where drought products were utilized by World Food Program for their contingency planning and support preparation. Out of this Nepal's experience, but we learned that there are methods available which can be put into a particular operational system, and we can develop a service. Since being regional institute, we also tried looking at the other countries' abilities and potential opportunities to collaborate with them. But we found out that Afghanistan, Pakistan, Bangladesh, along with Nepal, are interested in joining hand in developing Earth observation data supported drought monitoring and outlook service. So we have gone through a whole process of service design from need assessment till operational. We are at the operationalization stage, and we are looking forward that we can make those services sustainable through engagement with national agencies so that they can adopt those services and they can run those services for coming years. Just to give some technical framework, that in this system we are capitalizing on NASA's land information system and land surface modeling approach. And our major data inputs are coming from meteorological field, from global land data simulation system. But one thing which we changed is is the precipitation input. In GDAS system, the precipitation inputs was well calibrated with stream flows, but it was not coming up well on the land measurement of rainfall. So we replace climate hazard group precipitation data products as input to GDAS system. Then we are capitalizing on NASA's Goddard GEOS S2S season to subseason forecast, which is downscaled at 5 kilometer. So this is the overall framework. Where we have developed a South Asian land data simulation system with the data starting from 2001 till current year.
2 minutes left.
Oh. Sorry, I'm taking long time. Oh, okay.
No, it's okay. You have 2 minutes.
Okay. Okay. Like at the end, we came up with the a simplified version of drought monitoring system in consultation with the agriculture agency primarily. Like they asked for a simplified version, and we picked soil moisture, evapotranspiration, standard precipitation index, and NDVI as the indices. Now this system is in place, which produces those variables at 5 kilometer on every 10 day, and which can be aggregated at monthly scale and 3 monthly scale and seasonal scale. So we have interfaces developed for Afghanistan, Nepal, Bangladesh, and Pakistan. And and then it also provides, like, you can pick a particular district or province, and you can go through the overall assessment. It gives you seasonal assessment as well as near real-time conditions and as well as outlook. So just talking about when we are talking about outlook or forecast, it's very important to understand its applicability. We recently completed a study on hindcast validation of our forecast, and what we noticed that it is working fairly well in like this is an example. We looked around 4 major basins. These are the results from Genghis Basin. I encourage you to go through this paper, link given here. I'll not get into those details of these results of this validation process. And we started producing outlook from summer 2020. And in summer 2020, we somewhere in April, we produce forecast for May, June, July, August, and which says that it is going to be a wet year. And it came at the end of the season, it came that it was very wet. And these are some examples where we compared our outlook with observed. Observed data is observed shift data, and outlook is like the outlook produced from regional drought monitoring outlook system. So it matches fairly well, but it cannot be 100% correct. At basin level, at least, like, our direction of forecast was very good. Like we were expecting dry time in eastern region like Mekong and the Salween Basin. It happened so, and we were expecting very wet times in most of the western basins. Again, this season we produced seasonal outlook in October for November, December, January, February, March, and in according to this assessment, it's going to be a colder and longer winter. And then again on the western regions like in Indus Basin and Amudarya Basin, it's going to be drought conditions, while in most of the eastern region it's going to be a wet wet season. Like for example, if we look into the Koshi Basin, November was expected to be severely wet than normal, and then again December, January is again wet, and February is closer to normal conditions. But in terms of temperature, it's going to be a colder season. So just to, yeah, I'm closing it. So you can go to particular provinces and also look the forecast as per provinces. And we assume that these forecasts are meaningful when they can only be communicated to farmers and related decision-making agencies. In this respect, we are trying to put all those agroclimatic variables into a system which can fully operate at the local level, where this information can be blended with agronomic conditions and can be communicated to farmer through the extension staff. And we are developing a pilot on localizing agroclimatic advisory. So where like several institutions sit together and look into the different aspects of agriculture, including the agroclimatic conditions, drought conditions, and advise farmers appropriately. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Faisal, for your nice presentation. So I think this is very important work, and I would not go in details inside the presentation, as we have already heard about it. And also we are a little bit delay in the time. We are taking the break time. So let's go quickly to the questions answer session. And here I can see some questions in the chat box. I think the first question here is by Madhav Dhakalji. So how drought event is defined in Nepal's context? So I think this question is to Professor Sigdel. So Professor Sigdel, answer.
I note down this question that because basically we concern on the drought intensity and drought duration for the identifying the drought event. Because we have applied the SPEI or SPI indices threshold level. Because if it will be below -1, then drought situation will occur, and then how long the duration that value will remain the same, then that will be the one event. So this will this identifies the drought event. Yeah, one thing. Okay. And then can I go to another question?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Can I add to this question how we define the drought?
No, drought event, not drought.
Event. So just my view on an additional comment from my side, that if I talk like climatologically, there can be different definitions, which is normally considered as deviation from normal. But in terms of agriculture, I must say that if you someone is growing water demanding crops, and those crops are there historically there, and there is some deviation in rainfall which is not sufficient for those like water demanding crops. Even the amount of the quantitative amount of rainfall will be like a good rainfall, like it's not not in a dry region, but it doesn't meet the practices happening on ground, we will still consider it as a drought. But if there are like conditions where the rainfall is not enough, but farmers has adopted to those conditions, we can still like avoid calling it a drought. So it is also related to ground practices. So if those deviation in rainfall are impacting the farmers, so those are the droughts. But if they are managed well, then like there can be scientific definition, but then there can be several applied contexts of this drought definition. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, okay, it's always tricky finding drought because there are many. Yeah, as Professor Sigdel also explaining the meteorological drought, and Faisal is explaining about the agriculture and socioeconomic drought. There are many tricky way to explain drought. So thank you so much for explaining so nicely Faysal and Professor Sigdal. So let's move to another
another
question.
was about the Western Nepal. There was in 2014 there was drought, and what about the Koshi Basin? That type of question was there. So from my study, we have identified 2014 for the Koshi Basin also. That was the drought year, either in SPEI or SPI. So it identified the drought within the Koshi Basin. However, the degree of severity may be different between the Western and Eastern Nepal. That needs to be we have to study more about that one. And another thing, another question was about the data gap. Data gap, yeah, certainly for the meteorological drought, it's a serious question. Like we in the Koshi Basin, we tried to include more than 20 stations, but unfortunately, there were no stations and data gap and everything. So we came up to 10 stations. So we, for the more appropriate study for the meteorological drought, we have to establish the stations also, I think, and that will generate the data. So otherwise, we have to interpolate, and then for interpolation, every time we have the question, same type of question. So there is a strong data data set is needed, and instrumentation for the area is also an important thing.
Okay, thank you, Professor Sigdal. I think Mr. Mani Dahal and Faisal and also Professor Saifi can answer these questions on data gap and also other questions like does the seasonality index also work in identifying for winter droughts? So any one of you can answer it. And there is specific question for Mr. Mani Dahal. There was a drought event in 2014 detected in western part of Nepal, but wanted to be sure that so it was not occurred in Koshi Basin. So, Mr. Mani Dahal, do you want to explain this question?
I think, yeah, Professor Sigdal has already mentioned about this. Maybe there is drought in Koshi River Basin also that period, but maybe the severity and intensity or the frequency may be different. Yeah, Professor Sigdal has already mentioned about that, and I think that is okay to answer this question, I think.
Okay, then. So I think now we are also beyond the time. So thank you so much. I would like to thank all the four presenters for your nice and informative presentation and keeping the time as well, and all the participants for the questions on the chat box. And I think if you are not satisfied with the answer, you can still type the questions, and I think they will attend the question. And with this, I would like to end the session. And now up to Ms. Kanchanji.
Thank you very much, Hemuji, and thank you all the presenters for presenting in a very concise manner. We are a little bit behind on schedule. I was wondering if we need to take a short break or shall we continue forward? Can you just, some of you just either unmute your mic or let me know in the chat box. Do you want to take a few minutes break or?
I think Kanchanji for 5 minutes would be okay.
Yeah,
5 minutes.
5 minutes break.
Yeah.
Okay,
5 minutes.
so great. So 5 minutes break, please. So it's 3:24 in Nepal time. So wherever you are, just look at your watch and come back within 5 minutes. We are a small group, so I'm sure the discussion will be quite interesting. The panel discussion is coming up next. So once you're back, just message on the chat box that you're back, and that's when we start. So just stretch and come back in 5 minutes. In 3:29 Nepal time we start. Okay.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, thank you, Professor Sarthi. We'll be starting in 1 minute now. We're just taking a short break so that we're all present for the panel discussion.
Sorry, I could not join this discussion due to the connection failure. If you give me allow me a few minutes, then I can speak on the uh, discussion part.
Sure. I think I feel like some of us are still listening. So please, Hemuji, is that okay?
Yeah, Kanchanji, yeah.
Yes, please. Yeah, I think most of us are here. Please go ahead, Professor Sarthi.
Yes. So this there is a very good presentation by the all of the speakers. Especially, I am very much impressed to see the agroclimatic related very good presentation by Faysal. That is basically we are interested for the meteorology, the drought which is happening over the ground level. So my feeling is that there is a two types of drought is very much important. One is the meteorological drought, and another is agricultural drought. Agricultural drought means, as Faisal told, that how much moisture is available for a particular crop to grow over an area, and that moisture obviously depends upon the how much soil, how much rainfall has already been occurred over this area. Like in India, if there is a good amount of rainfall is happening or occurring during the summer monsoon season, then the soil is containing very good amount of moisture. That moisture is utilized for the winter crops such as wheat crops and other winter crops. So if there is a good amount of rainfall, this is not this is important for the rainy crops as well as for the winter crops over the Indian regions. My feeling is that, being meteorologist, there is not only the SPI index is the SPI index is the tool for categorizing the drought intensity and other things. And but there is some other things which must be we have to keep watch on those synoptic situations such as monsoon trough and sterly wind, as well as the some of monsoon depression in another phenomena which occurred over the Bay of Bengal. And sometimes this monsoon depressions brings lot of amount of rainfall over the North Bihar regions. If this monsoon depression is becoming much more stronger, then there is a good amount of rainfall over the North Bihar region, which is adjacent to the foothills of the Himalaya or nearby the Koshi River basin. So my feeling is that rather than only keeping focus on the SPI index and other things, we should also keep focus on the some of the synoptic situations. Such, I am just giving you one example that if suppose that there is no rainfall from the next 15 days or 20 days over a particular Kosi River basins. So what we will consider? We will consider as a just drought is probably there is a drought is occurring, or there will be possibility of droughts in coming days. But suddenly there is a monsoon depression is taking place over the Bay of Bengal, and whole regions of the Kosi River basin is getting suddenly very good amount of rainfall. So such things will be whatever the thinkings we have already established, that is totally vanished when there is a good amount of rainfall is placed by the monsoon depressions. So my feeling is that there is various issues, and we should keep watch on those issues before categorizing drought and other things. Another point is that I got a very good.
Professor Sarthi, since we're also going into the panel discussion, and since you'll also be a panelist, I was wondering if you can also continue talking about it in the panel discussion as well. Would that be okay?
Okay.
Yes. Okay, great. Thank you so much. Then next, I hand it over to Dr. Vishnu Pandey for the panel discussion. And please do put your questions on the chat box as you hear, like the comments from Professor Sarthi. I think these discussions are quite important on how to connect what is coming out of the forecasts or, the outlooks and all the results to what is happening on the ground. Yes. So please, Dr. Vishnu Pandey, I hand it over to you.
All right. Thank you, Kanchanji. Welcome to this panel discussion session. I think we are already 15 minutes late. We will try to squeeze a bit this panel discussion so that we can finish within the stipulated time frame. I really appreciate your cooperation in that regard for all the panelists and the participants. We have 4 panelists, highly prominent panelists. Maybe I will recall their name. If they could at least turn on the video, that would be really great if your internet connection permits. This panel discussion would be on enhancing drought resilience in Koshi Basin. So we will be discussing on 3 key questions related to that. One is, what could be the priority areas for drought risk management in the Koshi Basin? And then the second question is, what are the possible transboundary cooperation? First one is the generic discussion on the potential risks for potential areas for drought risk management. Second is the possible transboundary collaboration areas based on our past experience and the potential that we see for drought risk management. And third is, what do you see as way forward in terms of, if possible, in terms of action plans for 2021 for transboundary drought working group? These are the key questions that will be asking, that is already asked actually to all the panelists, and our proceeding or guideline would be each panelist will spend around 8 to 10 minutes at max, but we highly appreciate if they can go on bullets and be as precise as possible. Then that will be followed by a round of question and answer. Depending upon time, we will capture as many questions as possible. Now, without further ado, I would like to introduce our panelist. The first panelist is Dr. Hari Bahadur Kesi. May I request you to turn on your video, sir, if your internet permits?
Namaskar.
Thank you, sir. Hari Bahadur Kesi, sir. Thank you, sir, for being with us. We really appreciate your valuable time. Dr. Casey is a Joint Secretary and Chief of Food Security and Food Technology Division in the Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock Development of the Government of Nepal, with more than 25 years of experience in the civil service. And he holds a bachelor degree in agriculture from the Tribhuvan University, and then master's in nematology from Ghent University in Belgium, and also a doctorate in applied biological science from the same university in Belgium. He has published more than 20 scientific articles in national and international peer-reviewed journals and workshops and proceedings. We welcome you, sir. And second panelist we have is Professor Dr. Pradhan Parth Sarthi. So he was also a speaker. May I request to turn on your video, sir? Dr. Pradhan, if your internet connection permits. And he was a speaker in the earlier session, so he has already been introduced, so I will not be repeating again. And third panelist we have is Professor Dr. Jihong Dong Hong. Apologize if I mispronounce your name. He is from the Institute of Mountain Hazara Environment, Chinese Academy of Science. He is the head of Yuan Soil Erosion Experimental Station at that institute, and the Deputy Director of Mountain Sustainable Development Branch of Kathmandu Center for Research and Education. He has a long CV, of course. I'll try to introduce very briefly. Professor Jiang, may I request you to turn on your video if your internet permits? And last but not least, the fourth panelist we have is Dr. Hemu Kafle. She was moderating the first session and she has already been introduced. So may I also like to request to turn on the video, Dr. Kafle. Thank you so much for being with us once again. And without further ado, I would like to go ahead with the capturing the views of the panelists on the three questions that has already been communicated to you. One is priority areas for drought risk management in your view, with specific focus on Koshi Basin. Second is possible transboundary collaboration areas, and third could be the what are the ways forward in terms of action plans. So may I request first with the Dr. Haribahadur Keshi sir to express your views. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ICIMOD, in inviting me as a panelist in this discussion forum. Dear all distinguished guests, the drought is really very sensitive issue that we are talking today in this forum. We are targeting Koshi Basin, but still this issue is being a problem to the farmers in their livelihood in whole country. As we talk in Nepal and maybe in the Kush region, all region, we have this type of problem. And in recent years, due to the climate change and the impact of this uneven weather pattern or uneven this precipitation, and also due to the impact of this climate change, we are facing more problem in many areas in Nepal, including Koshi River Basin. This year it was not that bad. This year was more or less fine, but in last 1 or 2 years we had a long winter without rain, and even in the summer. So and also as in the presentation we heard that the precipitation, the duration and the distribution of precipitation is concentrated in only some of the months and in very few days. So this is being a problem for the farmers, and that the effect of this has been very difficult to the farmers to cope up with their crop yield and with their livelihood. So we cannot do much for this to happen, but we have to teach farmers, we have to teach people how to mitigate the problem, how to adapt the problem, and how to proceed to their livelihood. So this is very critical situation in some of the districts, and as we heard in the presentation also, the distribution of the drought or the problem or intensity is different in different areas. If we talk about the Koshi Basin only, the Ramechhap district in the Koshi Basin has more drought problem and very little rainfall every year, and in compared to other districts. So the distribution is also a bit different. So this is the situation, and if we have to talk about the collaboration or the what we are doing, what we have to do, in this regard, I would say we have to first we need some sort of data, some sort of information about the weather events, possible weather events, some sort of forecasting, early warning system or early information system that we have to develop. In Nepal, our weather advisory has been advancing. It is more accurate and more better than before, because the technology is being changing. So we have developed some sort of weather advisory, agriculture, climatic advisory system, and in weekly basis we used to sit together with DHM, Department of Hydrology and Meteorology, and we forecast a 7-day forecasting system is developed, and it is being continued, and we used to send a message to the farmers about the weather advisory and related to agriculture system. Some of the things like drought resistant drought, to address the drought, the irrigation facility has to be enhanced, because almost 60%, I would say 65% of the area is still depending on rainfall for irrigation, and we have around 35 to 40% of the area is having regular irrigation system. So irrigation system and the irrigation technology in drought areas where the water scarcity is there, we have to develop some sort of irrigation technology also, I would say. And some of the things that we are trying to do with from Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development is the promotion of some drought resistant or drought tolerant cultivars, or even the crops. They are being promoted, because in such areas we need those type of varieties or those type of crops to be promoted. Like NARC has developed some Sukha series rice varieties which are targeted for the drought resistance, drought tolerant adaptation. Those things are being developed, and we are trying to develop some other technology which will help farmers to adapt to mitigate the drought problems. So we have to have some sort of collaboration in making early information system. As I saw the presentation of Dr. Faysal, that those many systems might have been developed, but it is not institutionalized and internalized, and it is not in the access of many scientists, or even I would say it is not translated as the information up to farmers level, up to the public level. So we have to have a system first. We have to make the capacity of our team to translate those information, and the message should be delivered to the target community, so that they can plan their cultivation, they can plan their crops, they can plan their agriculture system. So such type of things, such type of collaboration that we have to think for the coming days. And also some sort of technology development for drought mitigation and adaptation. We have to seek some sort of collaboration in this area, because the research is like I would say in this area we have similar type of cultivars, similar type of geography and ecological regions. So we can have similar type of technology adapted in all countries. So we can think such type of things, such type of technologies also. So finally, I would say we have to develop, we have to make some sort of system that first we need to collect the data, to analyze that, and to translate those things up to public level. In such type of things, we need a good collaboration for the coming days. I remain here. Thank you very much.
So much for the way forward. I will come back at the end of the session with all your final remarks. That's fine. Thank you, sir, for being very precise in terms of 2 questions. Now, there could be questions. We will come back to you later. Now, I will request Dr. Pradhan, Professor Pradhan, for sharing his view in the first 2 questions. Priority areas for risk management and what could be the potential collaboration in the transboundary level. Professor Pradhan, please go ahead. You are muted, sir.
Is it fine?
No, it's okay. That's fine. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. So my opinion is where I do agree with my previous speaker. I am very much agree with his opinion. So we should first think about the possible collaboration, especially on the scientific issues. Until unless we do not have the scientific understanding on the meteorological droughts in terms of the climatological or historical droughts, we could not be able to identify which area and which districts will be the drought prone areas. So first, the all partner countries and all partner institutes must collaborate. And if we found the other players who can also join from other countries who has already done some good work over the Koshi River Basin, you can also include them. No issues. So we can just strengthen our scientific communities to identifying the drought prone areas over the 3 major countries. So my feeling is that first we should prepare the scientific collaboration, identify the drought prone areas in terms of the historical drought, as well as if you think that we can go for the future projections of the drought, but there is some difficulty when we use the regional climate model data. There is the high uncertainty of the regional climate model precipitation data. We have already analyzed those climate model data, CIMI 5, CIMI 6, and as well as Rexium. We have Rexium 4 and other rainbow model. We have already analyzed and found that there is a large variation in the rainfall. So we cannot go for future projections of the rainfall and future identification of the drought areas. Another issue is that all over these issues, scientific issues must go to the ground levels. So my feeling is that if we incorporate the GIS and other partners on the GIS platform, those information should go to the farmers level. For the in terms of the, if suppose that there will be in the coming days there will be no rainfall, and the temperature Tmax or Tmin will be either more or less, then what farmers can do. So such type of information should go through the GIS platforms. So this is my view, and I am very much agree with the previous speaker's view. I do agree on that one.
Thank you so much, sir. You are being very precise and focused on what could be the potential areas for collaboration as well as priority areas for drought risk management. We'll be discussing more later on. Now I will reach out to Dr. Professor Shihong Donghong for sharing his views on the first 2 questions. Being in the upper riparian countries, what do you see the priority areas as well as the potential areas for collaboration with a specific focus on Koshi? Please go ahead, sir.
Hello. Yeah. Hello everyone. Thank you first. Thank all of the speakers before, and also thank the invitations from ICIMOD. I used to study soil erosions, and also this year I just have been to Nepal maybe more than 10 times. The first part maybe the 5 years ago I was in Nepal there because at the time we got one project to aid about the experimental facilities, yes, and also, and then we conduct some cooperative collaborations with the Children universities. Okay, and after I think for me, this year maybe in the previous 3 years we just conducted some research on drought, and also now from last October, yeah, from October we just start.
Hello. Is there any issue at my end, or I don't know, professor's end?
I think his picture is still, yeah.
Okay.
Hello?
Yes, please go ahead. You were lost in between. Now go ahead, please.
Yeah, maybe not. Now it's okay.
Okay.
Okay. And as for about the first questions, the priority areas, I think, yes, of course. At the first hand, the drought monitoring, of course, is very important. And I just, after listening to the several speakers, the several presentations, I think maybe we still need more in-depth research on soil, on the drought monitoring, because I think, in China we also have many areas often suffering drought, and which I just came back from one area, we call it the dry hot values, and they are also every year often suffering drought, but the people there successfully resolve the problems by transporting water from other regions. So I think, yes, of course, for Nepal, maybe right now, it is very difficult for the government, for peoples to organize, to establish very big water transporting systems across regions. Yes, but maybe at first the drought monitors we would better thinking of more factors, such as some geographical factors. At times up to now, so we have done. Yes, we have done some workings on mapping by GIS technology. However, drought conditions is influenced by macro factors, such as sometimes, such as we can think about the water conservation capacity. In 2017, I took a field visit in Nepal from Lemchap to Sinduris, and I found there, yes, local farmers, they made good use of springs. They made good use of springs, and also that increase their anti-disaster abilities. So in my mind, maybe the future work on drought monitoring is just to consider more factors, such as the water conservation capacities of forest covers, maybe for spring distributions, maybe the distance from the river, so that by considering these factors, we can make more accurate mappings. We can make more accurate donations for drought. So that is one of the that's what I'm thinking about the drought monitoring, about the drought mappings, and the second is sorry. The second question is about the possible transboundary collaboration areas for drought risk management in the Koshi River Basin. Yes, I think, just as the professor said, yes, irrigation systems is very important, and also I mean, the Giant Valley, the Giant Hot Valleys region I just came back from, there, local farmers developed very, very good irrigation system. Yeah, irrigation technology, including the jump irrigations. So maybe we can communicate. We can communicate and exchange that irrigation technology between China and Nepal, maybe India. The day before yesterday's, I just asked one local farmer, because they produce, they grow the tomatoes. I just asked about the yard of one hectares, and they said 1 hectare more than 10, more than 15 tons for 1 hectare of tomatoes, and the economic benefits also very large, and normally they said more than between 10,000 to 20,000 yuan per hectare. So I just said, why not introduce, why not exchange this irrigation, maybe plantation, agriculture technology. So that's one ideas, and we are going to thinking about conducting some exchanging communication activities, maybe in the following 3 years. So that is what I'm thinking about. The second point, and also the way forward.
Third point, maybe we'll get back at the later at the end of the discussion as a maybe last point from all the panelists. Thank you so much for the time. All right. I got information from Dr. Koshi that he has to leave early for some other meeting. So maybe may I request your very quick your thoughts on what would be the way forward for this particular drought thematic working group for the coming year to work on to make the better impact. Dr. Koshi, would you like to share your thoughts very briefly?
Thank you, Vishnu sir. Yes, I have already mentioned in my remarks before. I just try to link those things, and as my previous speaker, Professor Pradhan, has also spoke on that. Because first thing is we have to know the situation. We have to go for the research and data collection, information collection, those things that we have to do in collaboration, because this is the climate, the weather, the system is not the issue of one district or one country. It is being connected to other countries also. That is one thing that we have to do for the next incoming days. And that is one part. And thereafter, we have to make the capacity of the stakeholders to translate those information, those results, those generated from that, to translate it as the information for the end users, the farmers, the public, the living in the site, in the villages, in the rural areas or in urban areas. That is very important because we do have a lot of information, a lot of system. Already we have some data generated, some information generated, and after all, it should go to the final users. Agro advisory system that we have developed and we are practicing our this DHM, our scientists, our friends, the working on agrometeorology, they were very happy to go to the farms, to go to the farmers and see what their information has meaning to the farmers, because they are generating the information on agrometeorology, and it is not reaching to the farmers who are the end users, who are fighting to the climate change issues or to different calamities of this natural calamities. So it has to be translated to end users. So the capacity for the translation and its delivery to the farming community, it is very important. So the next we have to think on that. That I would suggest, and that is the information part. And we have to have some sort of technology that adapt the drought condition, that we have to develop some sort of varieties or some sort of technology which are suitable to adapt the drought condition. These are the things that the development and delivery also to the farmers. These are the things that we have to think for further as a way forward. That is in my opinion. So I'm sorry to say I have to go for another meeting, so I will remain here. Thank you.
Well, we highly value your presence despite your very, very busy schedule. Thank you so much for very, very constructive feedback and inputs to this discussion. We really appreciate it, sir. Thank you.
Thanks.
Now we'll go back to Dr. Hemu for sharing your thoughts on the two questions that we are discussing, and if possible, without repeating of what is already said, and maybe perhaps sharing additional views, or if you have different views on what is already being said. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. I was also thinking similarly, as most of the points have been covered by all the panelists before, and also we don't have much time. I will not take time, and I will only focus the point which I think is most important and need to say. So I think I don't want to go what is drought and why it's difficult to predict, because it's a very simple thing. But I was thinking about it before, but for now I will not go on that. And why it is important for the drought risk management of the coast basin, and how it's the most important question. So there could be various priority areas for drought risk management of the coast basin. At first, in my opinion, we need to be able to predict drought, monitor its frequency, severity, and its impact. Since, as we also discussed at the presentation earlier, predicting drought is very tricky. It can be in some places that could be straightforward, in another that could be a bit tricky, because as Faysal has already explained it, how drought can be explained, and why not we cannot say drought only due to the meteorological fewer precipitation in that area, whereas we explain it as drought in some part of the country by saying that the fewer precipitation. So first, we need to be able to predict drought, and in this case, drought can also be differing due to climatic data sets, as well as local microclimatic condition and the land cover types, and also the human behavior, which also affects drought occurrence. So in Nepali scenario, we are still in a premature stage when it comes to predict estimated drought. That could be due to lack of sufficient data sets, appropriate technology skills in the local level, and also very few scientific research that needed. For example, there are few areas just like which have very less rainfall regions due to rain shadow effect. It's like our the Hari sir talk about Ramethap drought. Some part of Ramethap and also there are many places in Nepal like Kapil Bastu that have drought every year due to natural causes. Whereas there are many areas which have developed drought due to our activities, that means anthropogenic reasons. Some of the area in Nepal are also drought-prone areas. Nowadays, there are increasing trends we can see from the Professor Sigdal presentation and also from Professor Stark's presentation that the drought occurrence is increasing after 2000. So after being able to predict drought, we can monitor its consequences and its impact. This way, we can minimize its negative impact in a larger scale. Again, there is no straight mechanism to minimize the negative impact of drought as it has different behavior in different land cover types. Another dangerous part of drought is its impact will move from simple consequences like lack of water to severe consequences as desertification of the land. Just like we can also see from the Faysal presentation, he was talking about the land which was under the area which was under drought. That means there are drought occurrence for almost a continuous 3 years, and somewhere there are drought in only in this year, and the drought will occur after 2 years, something like this. So the characteristics of drought is also very tricky. And the drought risk management in a basin scale is only possible. And also I want to talk about the most important part for risk management is to focus and promote local traditional coping mechanism of the community, as also highlighted by Professor Zhang from China. So as they have been built with larger experience of the local people to the local problem. So drought risk management in a basin scale is only possible when we are collaborating with our neighboring states, provinces, and countries. And also explained by Professor Sarsi, collaboration within organization working in drought for improving scientific knowledge and technology is as important as collaboration in local level in improving the need and behavior change, as well as in government level in promoting policies towards prioritizing water management at the local level and giving subsidies to the farmers in case of drought. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam, for very adding the additional thoughts on the addressing drought risk in the Koshi River Basin. We really value it. There are a couple of questions and comments. I think one question, perhaps it may be relevant to, or maybe one or more of the panelists would like to take is how to bridge the gap between drought analysis results and its inducer, because all of the panelists kind of concur that there is a really gap between them. What could be the ways to address the gap between the results and the application by the end users? Or maybe should this working group be engaged with the wider stakeholder than what we already have? What are your thoughts? Maybe anyone would like to pick and maybe share your views in a very brief. Do we need to go beyond this stakeholder, and what could be the ways to address the gap so that this applicability of the information by the end user can be enhanced, or they can be benefited better?
I think maybe, can I talk?
Please, madam, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for very nice questions. This is the most important part. Since we are talking about the scientific research stage, the technology, using the technology state, but in local level, the local stakeholder cannot use that technology which we are talking about. So it is very important to translate our results, translate our methodology in a people-centric way. Just like Faysal explained in his presentation that there is a drought outlook technology built by ICIMOD. So when we go to the website and we click on the district then the drought pattern or the agriculture stage will come up. So this is a simple technology that can be used by the local stakeholder on the ground, and they can assist the farmer likewise. So I think it is more important to translate our research and our technology to be understood by the local level, and this is quite challenging work as well. We are still in the field of developing the accurate technology. In case of Nepal, we are in the field of improving accurate technology which can predict accurate drought. Not exactly accurate, but kind of, it should be accurate. So we are still, so we still have to work on this. I think this is my opinion.
Thank you. If I add a bit on this, what you talk about, and what I would like to add is translate the findings and also the methodology to the all stakeholders and try to engage them from right beginning so that they understand the value and what does it mean for them, right? And also we may need to strengthen the capacity of the individuals in terms of understanding that, and also the making scientists more individual oriented so that going one step forward from only the scientific results to the something useful to the individual. Perhaps that could help it. And also there are some comments or useful sharing from one Chetri here in the chat box. Please take a look. What he suggested is, if we have the drought outlook and there is a critical level, what should we do the next? Perhaps organize a meeting of different levels and convey the message in a simpler way so that all can understand and get prepared accordingly. It's really a good feedback. Would any other, maybe I would like to open the floor for the question, further more questions if any. Anyone would like to share in the chat box or would like to speak on, yes, by themselves, please come forward and share your thoughts or maybe ask a question to our prominent panelists. Yes, I could see the hand raised. Let me see who is raising the hand, just a minute. Geeta Vastagoti, please go ahead. What is your questions? Geeta Vastagoti, madam, please go ahead. I could see you raising your hands.
My voice is like audible.
We can't hear you properly. There is some issue with connection. Okay, if there are some issues, maybe would you mind typing in the chat box, please? Sorry, we can't see you, Geeta Vastagoti, madam. Please write your query in the chat box. I don't know what the issue. Whether others, anyone else has some opinion, comments, or questions to the panelist?
I think I see, Geetaji, I muted you just so that there was a lot of background noise, but please do unmute yourself if it's working now. I also see Rakeshji unmuted. I'm not sure if it's Rakeshji or Geetaji. No, there's just too much background noise from Geetaji. But Rakeshji, are you trying to say something? You're unmuting yourself. Please, go ahead.
Okay, there are two questions in the chat box while others are still thinking. One is on collaboration. Since the last year we met for the National Forum in the Hotel Himalaya for this dialogue. Again, we meet for this year too, but still the collaboration effort are not in process. What is the view of ICIMOD? How can we strengthen it? Maybe Kansanji would like to add some views on it. Because we met last year, we met this year, but there are not significant progress. Perhaps we all members should have been active and we are not that extent or any other reason. Maybe Kanchanji, any thoughts on it?
Sure. Thank you, Madanji. And I think that's a very important question that you're raising. So in September, when we met in Hotel Himalaya, that was the country consultation for Nepal for the KDKH. So we're trying to understand understand whether there's significant interest in Nepal to create a drought group, whether we would get enough participants to even be in the drought group. So that was a consultation that was happening in September in Hotel Himalaya. Because before that, in 2018, when we started the Inception workshop for Koshi Disaster Knowledge Hub, there were only few people, 2 or 3 people that was interested in drought at that time, and we were not even sure that there would be enough, scope. But looking at the interest during the Hotel Himalaya consultation, we thought that we would try to make a transboundary group. And I think from then to now, what we've been able to do is get interested participants from China and India, and that is why we have Dr. Pradhan Parsarthi. We were trying to identify the right friends and stakeholders and right partners to come on board for the drought group, and also from China, like Professor Xiongdong Hong, Nirmal, who is currently doing his PhD in China. So in the last year, that has been the effort. There have been a few online meetings to write a joint blog for the drought group. But then we've not, there have been a few meetings here and there, but I think we've missed each other during those meetings. And the group will not work until like everybody's active and contributing and participating. So we really hope that moving on, like it does not be a yearly event, but rather like every few months that we meet and work on it together. And Hemuji has also nicely joined. So that is the progress. And in the larger context for the KDKH, I'm sure you will attend the session 7 and 8 on Friday, where we'll be talking about the long-term strategy for KDKH and how the transboundary working groups and the country chapters can work together. Yeah, but Madanji, I'm more than happy to hear your interest, and also how can we make it more effective and useful for the members. So if you have any suggestions, we would really like to take it up.
Okay, thanks, Kanchanji. And there are 2 more comments, 3 actually, 2 more questions and 1 comment. Comments from Geeta Vastavudi that we may also need focus on more data for socioeconomic aspects of the drought impact and livelihoods, much in a way forward to be looked upon, and it is also necessary to look food aid system in terms of attending, enhancing resilience, food security, and beyond. It's really, really valid comment where we are discussing or focusing on a biophysical aspect of the drought and these socioeconomic aspects, and in terms of understanding who are getting impacted, what class of people, what gender, and those kinds of inclusivity, understanding equity and inclusivity are also equally important. That's well taken. And there were 2 more questions. One is on the weather modification technology to cope with the drought risk in China, how that can be scaled up to other Hindu-Himalayan region country. So maybe from China, Professor Jihong is here. Maybe if he is aware about this, maybe he would like to take this question. Professor Jihong, what is this weather modification technology and what is its potential to scale up to the Hindu-Kush Himalayan region? Would you like to take this question?
Hello.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. For these questions, I'm not sure. But yes, we can try, because China is very large, and of course there are some areas whose climate is also very similar to those in Nepal. So I think maybe the first is at first we should select, we should find the climate similar areas, and of course, and then to introduce some technology, irrigation or agriculture technology. So I'm not sure. So it means that not all of the technology from China can be, can be introduced, can be suitable for the area, for educate for the areas. So I'm not sure whether it is satisfied with.
Maybe I think that's at least some thoughts, and I can explore. Maybe we can explore better, or maybe reach out through the emails and have another round of discussion on these topics, because it's some technology related things, and scaling up is something that itself is a huge topic, and we can always have another round of discussion in somewhere else. So maybe in the interest of time, it's already 4:19. There are a couple of more questions. Maybe we may not be able to address all. Maybe I will try to summarize what has been discussed so far and then reach out to each of the panelists on their thoughts on the summary as well as adding additional, final words, if any, all right? So for the first question on priority areas of drought risk management, a couple of things are shared by all the panelists. One is drought is affecting agriculture in different forms and intensity. There is spatio-temporal variability in the drought. Like the panelists from Nepal give an example of one of the districts in the Koshi Basin is more affected compared to others. This gives a quite clear indication of spatial distribution. And also in many locations, drought is not only meteorological drought, they have already been agricultural drought because soil moisture is decreasing and agricultural yield are affected. Second point is capacity building and awareness of farmers to mitigate as well as adaptation of the issue of drought is agriculture drought is important because there is nothing like we can address like switch on and off to address the things quickly. So we should slowly go on adapting in different ways like using different crops or whatever other ways. Drought monitoring is a very important aspect and it requires in-depth research, and we are perhaps we all as a in a form of collaboration can advance it further in the entire Hindu Kush region from right in the upstream to the downstream. Drought conditions are influenced by micro factors which are difficult to understand from remote sensing products perhaps, so we need both kind of monitoring, both by the remotely sensed activities as well as on the ground monitoring system, so they can complement to each other and we can understand the things in much better depth and micro scales. That's I think is great if I understand the discussion correctly. And predicting drought and assessing the impacts are equally important to advance. They need to be advanced in terms of use of technology, in terms of potential end users, and then in terms of strengthening the collaboration. So this kind of all things we advance in all the fronts. Potential areas for transboundary collaboration is one is data collection, analysis, and translate into advisory information. Where in monitoring, like using both on the ground and remote sensing product, we can use the better monitoring, and on the ground data at different locations, different countries can be used for validating the remote sensing product for the better information. And analysis, learning from each other's institution would be really helpful for advancing each other's understanding of analysis. Of course, for advisory, issuing advisory, Nepal's experience and experience as well as India's experience can be shared each other and can find better ways for developing and issuing the advisory. Second area is one is data collection, analysis, translation. Second is technological development in various areas. For example, developing drought tolerant varieties for different reasons, because with this Koshi Basin is extending from the very flat area to high mountains. So we have wide variation in the climatic, so that if we can do research in different countries and try to share each other in a more collaborative way, it helps to understand better for different varieties, because one institute cannot do research for all varieties. This is the excellent area for the collaboration in terms of technology. And another area is prediction, forecasting, and early warning system. Again, the earlier points will support for this one, and each other's understanding data and information can be useful in this line. And finally, we need to institutionalize the forecasting and early warning system by translating forecast in terms of suitable information in the form of advisory, and also the strengthening capability of the relevant agencies to translate the science into useful information and advisories for policy and practice. So these are, all the areas or the potential areas where all the partners from the different countries can come together. And finally, in terms of way forward and action plans for the drought thematic working groups to think of based on the discussion so far, one is focusing on understanding the situation, because there is still the need for advancing the research and monitoring the drought, understanding the drought, right? In terms of understanding situation, drought mapping and monitoring is a way forward for this group to think and mobilize the resources accordingly for different locations within the basin. Second point is assess and quantify impacts on and develop the strategies to cope with them. For example, focusing on local traditional coping mechanism could be one of the ways, and there are many other ways to assess the impacts and develop the strategies. Third point, as a message I can pick for this group to think forward, is strengthen the capacity of the stakeholders to translate results to the end users. It's a form of institutionalization actually. Fourth point is streamline the mechanism to ensure scientific informations are reached out to the end users, both policymakers and the farmers or other form of end users. What could be the appropriate mechanism, and so that this can be used as using a uniform mechanism in all the countries. It is we as a group of multidisciplinary experts from different countries can think and will come up with a convincing and implementable mechanism, and play a role of creating better enabling environment for strengthening the regional collaboration for drought risk mechanism, because it's a transboundary working group, and we can play a real in environmental enabling environmental role for bringing all the stakeholders together and bridging the gap between science, policy, and the practice. This is, I think, really an opportunity for this group to work into. And finally, is the what the Gitaji read on is we should go beyond from the biophysical aspect of the drought and should try to think of socioeconomic aspects and their impacts on livelihood and who are impacted and to what extent. This kind of intersectional and maybe equity dimension of the droughts and its impacts are also equally important for this group to think into. So these are the, I think, quick summary that I could capture. Maybe I would give the final floor to each of the panelists to, if you like to say additional things and then what is summarized, or if there are different views on what is summarized so far. Maybe I would go from the same order we started beginning. Dr. Casey is not here now. Now, Professor Pradhan, do you have any final words on what could be the way forward? Professor Pradhan.
Yes.
Do you have share final words on the way forward?
Are you getting my voice?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
I patiently listen to all of these things, and simultaneously I watching the chat of the Faysal and Hemu and Kanchanji, and they were suggesting a collaboration among the scientific collaboration among the graduate students. So I very much agree on those issues. So we can move ahead on such areas. My feeling is that, to just summarize on what is my view, so how can we move ahead or move forward? So today we have enough scientific results we are having, so we can move like a pilot experiment or pilot type studies by just including those such presented results along with this other micro level drivers which Dr. Faysal has shown. So can we integrate all those things in a GIS platform to just as a pilot experiment or just as a rough idea? So if this idea move ahead, then we can strengthen our scientific analysis, and accordingly we can incorporate those scientific analysis in this whole this package. So this is my idea. As well as I will be interested to work on the scientific collaborations, because whatever the results I shared all of with you, this is based on the Government of India funded research projects. We are having the very good computing facility, means high-speed computer servers. We are having 7 to 8 PhD students. We are having the large number of students. So there is no problem in collaborating on the scientific issues and motivating students to work on the drought area over this specific Koshi River basins. So this is my idea. Based on the whatever the results we shared, we can move ahead. No issue. Later we will strengthen all those things.
All right, thank you, sir. I think it's very good to know that about the available facilities which we can use as in the form of appropriate collaboration, and also the idea of piloting somewhere at least something. Then we can learn more and scale out for them. That's a really good idea. I really like it. Maybe I will reach out to another panelist, Professor Ji Hong. Would you like to share final words on the way forward? Professor Ji Hong. Okay, while we are waiting for him, maybe Dr. Kafle, would you like to share your final words?
Yeah, thank you, Vishnuji. I also agree with Professor Sarathi about collaborating within the group, what we have right now. Just like he told us that he has quite good computing facilities. And also we, in Kathmandu Institute of Applied Science, what we are doing is we are developing a low-cost meteorological station that is needed in Nepal, where there is no other meteorological stations to have the climatic parameters. And also, we are working on developing a technology to monitor drought in South Asian region using the freely available MODIS dataset. So, in saying this, what we can do is we can start collaborating, just like just making a pilot project, just to explain, and then we start working on what we have on our hands, and we can also do the capacity building of each other group. Just like I can teach the technology I know to the other group as well, and we are willing to learn from other groups. And then in this way, what we can do is we can find out next plan, what next, how can we move forward. We can also have a funding, apply for the a funding agency for a collaborative research. We can also include graduate students for doing their thesis and working with us in this project and also doing their thesis from that. So I think this is a way forward in my opinion. Thank you, Vishnuji.
Thank you so much, Hemuji. Well noted. And finally, to Professor Jihong, if you are there and would like to say your final words on the way forward, please go ahead. All right, it looks like there are some issues with the connection or he's not in the best right away. Thank you so much.
Hello.
Yes, please go ahead, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I think as for the how to move forward, I think maybe always I already talked before. Just more communications maybe should be organized in the future, including, yes, I strongly agree with some professors, yes, of course, including some graduate students, so that we can communicate on all often. And another idea is that I think, I don't know whether it is suitable for other countries in China. Always, if we want to do, we want to do better on one thing, we should at first we should establish one kind of organizations or institutions, which means that in China maybe ICIMOD or Sangha can select one guys who will be in charge of calling on other people to together attend the communication activities. Also, he can also organize some small scale communication activities, which means that if one can notice, can realize his responsibilities, that would be better, and he has more. He has to pay more energy. He has to pay more time on making things better. So that's my ideal. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I really appreciate it. And finally, I think we are almost done with 1 hour. We started at 3:35. It's 4:33. And Kanchanji, if you are okay, shall I go ahead with summarizing finally? Summary and concluding remarks?
Yes, sure, Vishnuji.
All right, then we will save the 15 minutes in that way. Thank you so much. I think for the last 2.5 hours, we discussed very in the length about the various, ways we are working in dealing with the drought in the transboundary Koshi River Basin. First, we discussed with some of the understanding or the ongoing works in terms of through the 4 presentation made by the transboundary working group members. they focused on the wide range of issues related to drought. For example, drought monitoring, meteorological drought, agricultural droughts as indicated by crop water storage, shortage index, and regional drought monitoring and outlook system. They all were quite interesting and rich set of information, and which Professor Pradhan rightly mentioned that whether we can integrate them together to have some integrated understanding and piloting somewhere, that sounds an excellent idea. And there was a rich discussion on various types of indices, their suitability as well as limitation. We will certainly summarize all this discussion, which our rapporteurs are also taking notes, and maybe get back or share with you as a form of the short report of the session later on. And in the panel discussion, we discussed 3 topics that we already mentioned, and there was a rich discussion again. One is through the panelists, through their views, and second is using the chat box and the direct questions in terms of how drought risk can be addressed better in the transboundary Koshi River Basin. And I already summarized most of the things, but just to take the very key words for the way forward is understanding, monitoring in terms of data, generating better data, forecasting and advisory, capacity strengthening, piloting something, joint research program, and develop a joint research program, proposal for the program and apply for funding, and then institutionalizing the thing. These are the, I think, keyword at least I can capture from the as a way forward for the transboundary working group for the 2021. With these very short and brief notes, I would like to thank you again on behalf of all the organizing committee for your presence and active participation in this 2.5 hour long webinar. And it's nice to see that more than 25 members were more or less present in most of the times in this session. Thank you once again. Take care, stay safe, and have a good time ahead. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you, Vishnuji.
Bye.
Bye. And
Bye.
yes, bye.
Bye.
Just a quick announcement about what is happening tomorrow. So tomorrow, all the sessions, floods, drought, landslide sedimentation, and CBDRM, they will present session summaries tomorrow, beginning at 9:45 sign-on time, sign-in and registration, Nepal time. So please do come and hear what is happening in the other sessions tomorrow. And in the afternoon, I think it'll be very interesting because we have media representatives from 3 countries talking about the stories in the Koshi Basin and what is happening. So we'll be talking about transboundary collaboration, what and how about transboundary collaboration in the Koshi Basin in the morning session, and media in the afternoon. So please do come join us. And on the final day, on day 4 on Friday, about the KDKH strategy and guideline, where we all need your inputs and support. And if you haven't checked out the KDKH strategy and guideline, I'll send you a link right now in the chat box, and then please go ahead and give your feedback on that as well. Thank you again to all the participants, all the resource person presenters, panelists, and really, staying through the discussion and sharing your insights. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.